accusation about Jay-Z and Diddy and a teenager, 13-year-old teenager.
Right.
And we were speaking about just the statement.
Right.
The statement, you were saying you felt like that was calculated.
That was, that the statement is something from, you can tell it was written by a lawyer. Because there's a point where it kind of gets aggressive. He says, like, you're going to find out, like how I'll handle this. Like, and that's an attorney want to be combative with another attorney. That's not like a publicist wouldn't say those things.
This is on your
put that up.
Yeah, this is on
50?
Yeah, it says I don't know what's going on, but are we still going to have the Super Bowl? I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah. You know, I'm just trying to figure out if we're still doing everything the way. Because look, they will fall back, but the NFL, they won't necessarily be associated to that.
Right. Why do you not insert yourself, but you're on top of every topic, right?
Yeah. I'm just watching. I'm participating. I'm being part of culture. I'm just telling my opinion.
Right.
Look,
because you're part of the culture.
Like I can't say anything now. I'm out of it. I'm like I'm going to Dre's studio and just sit with Dre a little
right.
bit. And then, maybe
Shocking allegations against Jay-Z and Diddy have surfaced. A 13-year-old girl claims she was drugged and assaulted at a star-studded afterparty, with major celebrities watching. Is this the darkest secret in hip-hop finally coming to light? Stay tuned, because the details will leave you stunned. Jay-Z has recently found himself under sharper scrutiny than the usual headlines he's accustomed to. In the past, conversations about him often revolved around his music, his entrepreneurial successes, or his high-profile marriage to Beyoncé. This time, however, the spotlight is far more uncomfortable. His name is tied not only to a serious lawsuit involving fellow mogul Sean Diddy Combs, but also to resurfacing questions about his early connection to Rihanna. Within industry circles, whispers have persisted for years that Jay-Z played a decisive role in launching Rihanna's career when she was barely 15 years old. Those whispers have now grown louder, reshaping into direct speculation and commentary. Notable figures such as 50 Cent and Jaguar Wright have stepped forward with their own insights, speaking openly about behind-the-scenes experiences and hinting at complications that the public has rarely been allowed to see. Their words add weight to the narrative and raise further questions about how Jay-Z managed his professional relationships, as well as whether his personal loyalty to Beyoncé during his tenure at Def Jam might not have been as steadfast as it appeared on the surface. Rihanna, who was still just a young teenager at the time, was thrust into the spotlight in a way that now seems startlingly fast and unusually risky. She was described by those who knew her then as a baby, just 14, nearing 15, when her path first intersected with Jay-Z and the machinery of Def Jam Records. Accounts from that period suggest that she was flown from her home in Barbados to the United States on a private jet without parental supervision. An extraordinary step for someone so young. The man who arranged this trip, presented as a music producer, allegedly set up an audition not in a professional studio during the daytime, but in a hotel room at 3 o'clock in the morning. That single detail has become symbolic in retellings of her story. A teenage girl, far from home, auditioning in the dead of night without her family nearby. For critics, it illustrates the troubling lack of safeguards and oversight that often accompanies the discovery of young talent in an industry eager for the next breakout star. The chain of events that followed in New York only deepened the sense of unease. After arriving at Def Jam headquarters, Rihanna was reportedly left in a conference room with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours. Once again, she was without a guardian present. A situation that raises difficult questions about how seriously the label took her youth and vulnerability. Reports later suggested that her father accepted a $500,000 payment in connection with the deal that was struck that night, a sum that may have brought financial relief to her family, but also highlighted how quickly financial incentives were tied to decisions of enormous consequence. By the end of that long evening, Rihanna had signed a record deal that would go down in history as the fastest ever completed at Def Jam. While the speed of the signing has often been celebrated as proof of her undeniable talent and Jay-Z's keen instincts, it also underscores how much pressure was placed on a teenager in a high-stakes corporate environment where her ability to slow down and fully understand what she was signing was likely very limited. The backstory of how Rihanna entered the music industry under Jay-Z's guidance is both remarkable and unsettling. Popular accounts often focus on the almost mythic quality of her discovery. A young girl from Barbados transformed into a global superstar within what felt like the blink of an eye. Yet reports that have emerged in the years since add a darker edge to that narrative. They suggest that she was brought to the US without her parents, placed in a hotel room with Jay-Z until the early hours, and later pressured while still only 16 into signing a binding contract. These allegations imply that the tactics used to secure her commitment may not have been built on empowerment or free choice, but instead, on overwhelming pressure and the imbalance of power between a world-famous rapper and a teenage newcomer who had little room to resist. Whether through the lure of fame, the intimidation of circumstance, or the sheer momentum of the opportunity presented to her, Rihanna's earliest steps into stardom remain shadowed by questions of agency and consent. Her rise to success is undeniable, but the path that carried her there continues to invite criticism and reflection on the structures of the music industry that made such a scenario possible.
Auditioning at 3 a.m. in the morning, a 14-year-old girl. She was flown to another country. She was taken to Def Jam headquarters. She was left in a conference room alone with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours alone, with no parental supervision. Her father collected a $500,000 check. She has the fastest inked deal in.
According to those present, the decision to sign Rihanna happened almost immediately. Executives recalled that her work ethic and raw talent were undeniable. She didn't leave the Def Jam office that day. By 3 a.m., the contract was finalized. What began as a simple audition in the late afternoon turned into one of the fastest signings in the label's history. Once under Jay-Z's wing, Rihanna's career skyrocketed, but with the rapid success came swirling complications. Industry rumors began to surface, alleging that Jay-Z was romantically involved with Rihanna despite his marriage to Beyoncé. At the time, Rihanna was just 18 while Jay-Z was in his early 40s, fueling the intensity of the whispers. Some even claimed Beyoncé was aware of the alleged relationship. These rumors didn't just live in tabloids, they are said to have contributed to tensions in Rihanna's personal life, particularly with Chris Brown. While both Jay-Z and Rihanna have repeatedly denied any inappropriate connection, the stories refuse to fade. In fact, similar speculation had trailed Jay-Z years earlier during his rumored involvement with Aaliyah, making it clear that his personal relationships have long been a source of controversy.
So then what did he say to you? He said something to you. Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief. But then he said something about a window and a door or something. Oh, then he said, he did it homework. I did a lot of homework on you, this lady. He said, there are two ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal signed or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor. So you was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing. Yeah.
The audience is so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if Tyra was trying to get that on the record, but my God, what Jaguar? He threatened her. This is her own words coming out of her mouth, and she was a kid at that time, correct?
15-year-old girl who had been flown to the United States without parental supervision or a chaperone, brought to a grown man's office in a large corporate Manhattan building. Everybody knew when she flew in. I was there the day she got signed.
And
beautiful.
When
girl.
I met her that day, I knew she was a star. Like, just her look, the way she walked into a room and her confidence, and she performed in my office.
And she was what, 17 years old at that point?
She was 16.
16, and she has the confidence of it. She's like an old soul in a sense, right?
Absolutely.
So she walks in your office, and what? She just belts out a tune.
Belts out a tune. She performs, and I tell her, there's no way out of this office. I signed her that day.
Wow.
Inside the venue, the plaintiff recalled walking into a bustling space that resembled a lavish living room filled with celebrities and industry figures. Waitstaff moved through the crowd, offering drinks, while loud music filled the air. According to her account, she noticed widespread drug use, including marijuana and cocaine, before accepting a drink from a server. The beverage, described as a reddish-yellow mix with a bitter aftertaste, left her feeling dizzy and disoriented. Shortly after consumption, court filings include photographs of small plastic containers that the plaintiff alleges were used by staff to spike drinks with GHB. She claims that, at the time, she was only 13 years old and soon sought a place to rest as the effects intensified. It was then, she alleges, that Sean Diddy Combs entered with Sean Jay-Z Carter and another female celebrity. According to the lawsuit, Combs confronted her aggressively, pushed her against a wall, and initiated physical assault. While Carter allegedly participated, as she grew increasingly incapacitated, the plaintiff further states that she resisted attempts of further assault before the incident stopped. The filing also cites rapper 50 Cent's public condemnation of Jay-Z, in which he expressed fear about what such behavior could mean for his own daughter. On a segment of Bad Boy TV, he criticized Carter's history of alleged boundary-crossing relationships, noting how frequently controversy seems to surround his personal life. The plaintiff, who also reports living with autism and the effects of a prior head injury, says she had traveled from Rochester, New York, to Manhattan on the night of the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. She recalls meeting Diddy's driver, who allegedly told her she fit the type of person Combs was looking for. She later described conversations with musicians Benji Madden and his brother before consuming another drink that she claims left her woozy. In her statement, the plaintiff alleges that both Combs and Carter sexually assaulted her at an after-party. While a female celebrity was present, she claims that after the assault, she fled to a nearby gas station and called her father, who picked her up. She recalls the ride home being silent, with neither she nor her father speaking about what had happened. This case, now part of a broader lawsuit, marks another chapter in a series of allegations tying Jay-Z's history to troubling accusations involving underage individuals. The plaintiff asserts that several celebrities witnessed the events but did nothing, and in at least one instance, someone even laughed.
Could theoretically win if her testimony were especially compelling, but I think you put your finger on one of the real weaknesses, is that these allegations are ancient. One thing that leapt out to me is the allegations also include that there was a witness,
yes,
other than Diddy, who a female, another woman. Her testimony, and obviously she will be subpoenaed, could be crucial. I mean, if that testimony corroborated the plaintiff's claims, then that would be something that would really be a game changer. But the plaintiff alone, I think, is going to face some credibility issues, especially when you have Jay-Z. I mean, Diddy, the allegations are pretty widespread, but there haven't been similar allegations about Jay-Z.
Commentator Jaguar Wright has also weighed in, and her voice carries particular weight because of her long-standing reputation as both an outspoken critic of the music industry and a witness to its inner workings. Over the years, Wright has positioned herself as someone unafraid to challenge powerful figures and bring uncomfortable truths to light, regardless of the personal consequences. In this instance, she has claimed that she has spoken with multiple individuals who describe themselves as victims of Sean Jay-Z, Carter, and his inner circle. According to her, these individuals have shared consistent and troubling accounts of behavior that, if substantiated, would paint a far darker picture of one of hip-hop's most celebrated icons than the public has ever seen. Wright believes that the increasing visibility of lawsuits and media coverage surrounding Carter may finally embolden these voices to step out of the shadows and make their experiences public. Her commentary is important because it connects personal testimonies to a broader pattern. Wright has emphasized that the reluctance of victims to come forward in the past was often rooted in fear of retaliation, fear of being disbelieved, and fear of taking on someone with immense financial resources and cultural influence. The fact that Carter is not just a rapper but also a billionaire mogul, deeply entrenched in business, philanthropy, and entertainment, means that challenging him publicly can feel overwhelming. In Wright's view, the lawsuits now surfacing, combined with public figures like 50 Cent drawing attention to Carter's alleged behavior, may finally tip the scales. Victims who once felt isolated may now see themselves as part of a collective voice. And collective voices, Wright argues, are much harder to silence. One of the points that has stirred curiosity is the speculations surrounding the identity of celebrity B, a figure referenced in lawsuits as having been present during disturbing incidents. Some whispers have suggested that Beyoncé herself might fit this role, though such claims remain speculative and Wright has been careful not to accuse Beyoncé directly, recognizing both the gravity of such an accusation and the immense pressures Beyoncé faces as a public figure in her own right. Instead, Wright has chosen to redirect the conversation. She stresses that whether or not Beyoncé was directly involved in any of these events, she almost certainly has knowledge of her husband's reputation and history. For Wright, this complicity, silent or otherwise, is part of a larger cultural pattern where the misdeeds of powerful men are often quietly tolerated or ignored by those around them in order to preserve wealth. influence, or family image. In her public statements, Wright draws a line between rumor and systemic behavior. She insists that this case, and the conversations swirling around it, cannot be dismissed as mere gossip or tabloid fodder. Instead, she frames it as the culmination of long-standing concerns about Jay-Z's conduct and the power dynamics that have followed him throughout his career. From her perspective, this is not an isolated incident, but part of a continuum, a thread woven through decades of stories, whispers, and unresolved questions. The issue, then, is not whether one rumor here or one accusation there holds water, but whether the accumulation of so many stories over time points to a much larger truth. What troubles Wright most is not only the allegations themselves, but the way Carter has chosen to respond. Rather than offering transparency, acknowledgement, or accountability, his reaction has been to turn to legal maneuvers, filing accusing attorneys of extortion, and framing himself as the victim of blackmail. For Wright, this is revealing. In her analysis, when someone of Carter's stature responds to deeply serious claims with aggressive litigation rather than it raises troubling questions about the boundaries of his behavior and the extent to which he believes he is untouchable. She suggests that such a strategy reflects not only denial but also an effort to use his wealth and influence as a shield. Her commentary resonates because it highlights the deep imbalance of power at play. Jay-Z is not simply an artist. He is a cultural institution. His reach extends into business, politics, and philanthropy. His marriage to Beyoncé, herself one of the most celebrated artists in the world, has only amplified his standing. To challenge him is to challenge an empire. Wright's argument is that this imbalance makes accountability even more urgent. If someone with Carter's level of power can be accused repeatedly yet escape scrutiny by turning to lawyers and publicists, what message does that send to the industry and to society at large? For Wright, it suggests that fame and money can create a protective barrier that allows harmful behavior to persist unchecked. Wright has also pointed out that the Carter family's carefully curated public image complicates the narrative further. Jay-Z and Beyoncé are often portrayed as a model of Black excellence, a couple who have overcome adversity and built a global empire together. They are celebrated not only for their artistry but also for their business ventures, philanthropy, and advocacy. In many ways, they have become symbols of progress and aspiration. Wright acknowledges this, but she warns against allowing that image to obscure the reality of the allegations being raised. To her, the danger lies in the temptation to conflate symbolic representation with moral perfection, as though success in one realm automatically absolves questionable behavior in another. In raising these concerns, Wright touches on broader cultural dynamics that extend beyond one man or one couple. She points to the way the entertainment industry, particularly in hip-hop and R&B, has historically protected its most powerful figures while silencing those who dare to speak against them. This culture of silence, reinforced by fan loyalty and corporate interests, creates an environment where misconduct can flourish. Victims may feel that their voices will never be heard over the roar of adulations surrounding their abuser. Wright insists that breaking this cycle requires not just lawsuits but a cultural shift, one where people are willing to question the legacies of even the most celebrated icons. Her perspective ultimately forces a difficult but necessary reckoning. If Jay-Z can treat vulnerable individuals unfairly, as alleged, and then respond to their search for fairness with lawsuits rather than accountability, what limits exist on his behavior? And if those limits are not enforced by the legal system or the industry, then where will accountability come from? For Wright, the answer lies in collective courage, in victims speaking out, in allies amplifying their voices, public refusing to lie. She frames this moment not simply as a legal battle but as a cultural turning point, one that could reshape how power, fame, and responsibility are understood in the music world. In the end, Wright's comments highlight an uncomfortable truth. Allegations against figures as powerful as Jay-Z are rarely just about the individuals involved. They are about the systems that enable, protect, and even reward misconduct. They are about the ways power is distributed and abused. And they are about the courage required to challenge a narrative that has been polished to perfection for decades. For Wright, this is not about tearing down a celebrity for the sake of spectacle. It is about insisting that justice and accountability apply to everyone, no matter how famous, wealthy, or influential they may be.